There are moments in sports when a medal is won long before the final score appears on the screen. Moments when victory is not decided by flawless execution, but by what happens after everything starts going wrong. For Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara, one of those moments arrived on the biggest stage imaginable. Expectations were enormous. Many believed they had the talent, preparation, and momentum to stand at the very top of the podium. Yet when the short program ended, reality looked very different. Instead of leading the competition, they found themselves sitting in 5th place. It was not a disaster, but it was far from the position they had envisioned. The dream was still alive, but suddenly it felt much farther away. The pressure was immense. The Olympic stage has a way of magnifying every mistake and every doubt. Athletes spend years preparing for a few minutes of performance, and when things do not go according to plan, the mind immediately begins searching for answers. What happened? What went wrong? How can it be fixed? Those questions can become impossible to escape. For thoughtful athletes, they can become even more dangerous. The deeper they search for explanations, the further they drift away from the only thing that truly matters, the next performance. In that critical moment, when uncertainty threatened to take control, there was one person who remained completely calm. Coach Bruno Marcotte looked at the situation and saw something very different from what most people saw. Others saw 5th place. Others saw pressure. Others saw a mountain that seemed difficult to climb. Bruno saw opportunity. More importantly, he saw 2 athletes who were still capable of becoming champions. The first words he shared with them were simple, direct, and powerful. It's not over yet. Those 4 words may sound ordinary, but their strength came from something deeper. They were not spoken as encouragement. They were not spoken to hide disappointment. They were spoken because he genuinely believed them. That distinction changes everything. Athletes can immediately sense the difference between words spoken from hope and words spoken from conviction. Bruno was not asking them to pretend everything was fine. He was telling them that the competition was still alive because he truly believed it was. That belief became the foundation upon which everything else would be built. Instead of allowing fear to spread, he created stability. Instead of focusing on what had already happened, he directed their attention toward what was still possible. The competition had not ended after the short program. There was still another performance waiting. There was still another chance to write the story differently. While many people outside the arena were calculating rankings and point gaps, Bruno was focused on something far more important: the mindset of the athletes standing in front of him. Great coaches understand that technical knowledge alone is never enough. At the highest level, success often depends on managing emotions, expectations, and pressure. In moments of crisis, athletes need more than instructions. They need clarity. What made Bruno's approach remarkable was that he never relied solely on motivational speeches. He understood that belief becomes stronger when it is supported by evidence. Rather than asking Riku and Ryuichi to simply trust that a comeback was possible, he showed them examples from the past. He reminded them that Olympic competitions have produced dramatic reversals before. Teams have fallen behind and fought their way back. Athletes have overcome disappointing starts and still reached the top. History contained proof that such outcomes were possible. This transformed belief from an emotional reaction into a rational one. Suddenly, the path forward no longer felt like a fantasy. It became something real, something that had happened before and could happen again. That ability to combine emotion with logic is one of the qualities that separates exceptional coaches from ordinary ones. Anyone can tell athletes to stay positive. Anyone can say they should keep believing. But true leadership requires more than optimistic words. It requires creating an environment where belief feels justified. Bruno gave them reasons to trust the process. He provided evidence instead of empty promises. As a result, they did not need to force confidence into existence. Confidence grew naturally because they could see a realistic path forward. Yet perhaps the most fascinating part of this entire story came next. At a moment when most coaches might have started analyzing mistakes frame by frame, Bruno delivered a message that sounded almost surprising. He told them not to try to understand what had happened. At first glance, that advice seems counterintuitive. Athletes are usually taught to analyze performances, identify errors, and learn from them. Reflection is often considered essential for improvement. So why would a coach tell his athletes not to search for answers? The reason was simple. Timing matters. Bruno understood the personalities of the athletes he coached. He knew that Ryuichi, in particular, was highly intelligent and naturally analytical. Faced with disappointment, his instinct would be to examine every detail, replay every moment, and search endlessly for explanations. Under normal circumstances, that quality could be a strength. But this was not a normal circumstance. The next performance was approaching quickly. There was no time for deep analysis. There was no benefit in becoming trapped inside a maze of questions. The risk of overthinking was far greater than the value of immediate reflection. Instead of helping, it could create hesitation. Instead of producing solutions, it could drain energy. Recognizing that danger, Bruno interrupted the cycle before it could begin. He effectively told them that this was not the moment to look backward. This was the moment to move forward. The cause of the setback could wait. The analysis could wait. The lessons could wait. Right now, their focus had to remain fixed on the opportunity that still existed ahead of them. It was a masterclass in psychological leadership. Rather than allowing their minds to become consumed by the past, he redirected them toward action. He removed unnecessary mental weight and protected their ability to compete freely. The beauty of this decision becomes even clearer when you consider the emotional state of elite athletes. After a disappointing performance, the temptation to search for explanations can become overwhelming. Every athlete wants answers. Every athlete wants control. But sometimes the pursuit of answers creates more confusion than clarity. Sometimes the strongest move is not to solve every question immediately, but to postpone those questions until the right moment arrives. Bruno recognized that reality and acted accordingly. In doing so, he gave Riku and Ryuichi something incredibly valuable: mental freedom. Instead of carrying the burden of what had gone wrong, they could concentrate entirely on what they still had the power to accomplish. That freedom would soon become the foundation for one final challenge. Once the noise of disappointment had been pushed aside and the temptation to overanalyze had been removed, Bruno Marcotte directed their attention toward a new objective. It was not a goal based on rankings. It was not a goal based on mental calculations. It was not even a goal based on what the other competitors might do. Instead, he gave them something much more powerful. He told them that their mission was to deliver the best performance in the world at that very moment and become the best team in the world that day. It was a remarkable shift in perspective. Rather than chasing a medal, they would chase excellence. Rather than worrying about points, they would focus on performance. The distinction may seem small, but on the Olympic stage it can change everything. Athletes often become trapped by outcomes. They think about standings, placements, judges, and competitors. Their minds drift toward factors they cannot control. The more attention they give to those things, the more pressure they create for themselves. Bruno's goal eliminated that problem completely. Whether another team skated perfectly was irrelevant. Whether the standings changed was irrelevant. The only thing that mattered was whether Riku and Ryuichi could produce the strongest performance they were capable of delivering. That objective brought their focus back to the present. It placed responsibility entirely within their own hands. What made the message even more meaningful was the way it reflected the identity they had built together over the years. Bruno did not tell them to become the best skaters in the world. He told them to become the best team in the world. That word mattered. Pair skating is not simply about jumps, throws, lifts, or technical elements. It is about trust. It is about connection. It is about two people moving as one. The greatest pair teams are not merely collections of individual talent. They are partnerships built through countless hours of sacrifice, communication, and belief. By emphasizing the idea of becoming the best team in the world, Bruno reminded them of who they were at their core. Throughout their journey, Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara had overcome challenges that many people never saw. Injuries, setbacks, difficult training periods, and moments of uncertainty had all tested their resolve. Yet each obstacle had strengthened their partnership. Every challenge had taught them how to rely on each other more deeply. Every struggle had reinforced the bond that made them unique. Bruno understood that their greatest strength was not perfection. Their greatest strength was unity. When they trusted one another completely, they became capable of extraordinary performances. That is why his words carried such power. He was not asking them to become something new. He was reminding them of what they already were. The best version of Riku and Ryuichi was not created by pressure. It was created by trust. It was created by confidence in their training and confidence in each other. Once they reconnected with that truth, the weight of fifth place began to lose its grip. The rankings no longer defined them. The disappointment no longer controlled them. The competition transformed from a story about recovery into a story about possibility. As they prepared for the free skate, the atmosphere around them began to change. The uncertainty that often follows a disappointing result was gradually replaced by determination. They were no longer carrying the burden of trying to fix the past. Instead, they were focused entirely on creating the future. Every practice session, every conversation, and every moment of preparation was directed toward one purpose: delivering the performance they knew existed inside them. The remarkable thing about elite athletes is that they often perform their best when everything becomes simple. Complexity creates hesitation. Clarity creates confidence. Bruno had stripped away the distractions and left only the essentials. Looking back now, it is easy to see why that comeback became possible. It was not the product of luck. It was not the result of a motivational speech delivered at the perfect moment. It was the culmination of years of trust built between coach and athletes. When Bruno said, "It's not over yet," they believed him because he had earned that trust over time. When he told them not to overthink, they listened because he understood them better than anyone else. When he challenged them to become the best team in the world, they embraced the goal because it reflected everything they had spent years becoming. The comeback itself may be remembered as a dramatic sporting achievement, but the deeper story lies beneath the surface. The true victory began before they stepped back onto the ice. It began in the conversations that followed disappointment. It began in the decisions made under pressure. It began in a coach's refusal to let fear dictate the direction of the team. Great performances are often celebrated because of what audiences can see. Yet many of the most important moments happen behind closed doors, far away from cameras and scoreboards. This was one of those moments. The more closely you examine the situation, the more impressive Bruno's leadership becomes. In an incredibly short period of time, he managed to accomplish several difficult tasks simultaneously. He preserved confidence without creating false expectations. He acknowledged reality without allowing reality to become discouragement. He prevented overthinking without dismissing the importance of learning. Most importantly, he gave his athletes permission to focus on what truly mattered. That balance is extraordinarily difficult to achieve. Too much optimism can feel unrealistic. Too much realism can feel crushing. Bruno found the perfect middle ground. For Riku and Ryuichi, having someone like that in their corner made all the difference. Every elite athlete needs support, but not all support is equal. The best coaches do more than teach skills. They become guardians of perspective. They help athletes see clearly when emotions threaten to cloud judgment. They provide stability when uncertainty begins to spread. They become a source of belief when belief is hardest to maintain. Bruno fulfilled all of those roles. He was not simply observing their journey. He was actively shaping it. That is why the comeback from fifth place to gold should never be viewed as an isolated achievement. It was the visible result of an invisible process. Years of development, trust, communication, and shared experience came together at exactly the right moment. Every lesson learned during training camps, every challenge overcome together, and every difficult conversation contributed to that outcome. When the pressure reached its highest point, the foundation they had built held firm. And yet, as inspiring as Bruno Marcotte's role was, the story of support behind Riku Miura's rise does not end there. Long before international medals, world rankings, and Olympic dreams entered the picture, there were people in Japan who recognized something special in a young skater. There were mentors who saw potential before the rest of the world noticed it. There were individuals who quietly helped create the pathway that would eventually lead to one of the most successful pair teams in Japanese figure skating history. Their contributions are often discussed far less frequently, but they were no less important. To truly understand how Riku and Ryuichi reached the top, we must also return to the beginning and explore the Japanese support system that helped shape the future long before the spotlight ever arrived. The next chapter of this journey leads us back to those early years, where talent was first discovered, possibilities were first imagined, and the foundation for an extraordinary partnership was quietly being built.